Hello, and welcome to Marquee World News. And I'm here today with my guest, Q, and we're going to be discussing some of today's hot topics. The hot topic that I'm very interested in talking about now is Caitlyn Jenner, the former Bruce Jenner. So, Q, what do you think about Bruce Jenner?
I believe Bruce Jenner has become somewhat of the logo for the transgender outness, so to speak.
You mean like the spokesperson?
Well, somewhat of a spokesperson, but someone who is visible, actively visible to the public, and has generated a conversation about what it is to be transgender.
Yes. And I think that it's really needed today.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what Caitlyn is doing is putting a spotlight on a subject that has been taboo for so long.
Exactly.
And I think that it is needed.
I think it's very much needed right now. Caitlyn, to me, Laverne Cox has kind of put an edge on it when she went on to the cover and acting in
The Orange is the New Black?
Orange is the New Black. And, I've seen her for many, many years as a person because we lived in the same building at one point together.
That's a huge coincidence that you lived in the same building.
We lived in the same building together on 28th Street. And we would see each other in the elevator and in passing. But now that she's become the star, I like that she's put the little icing, the little topping to start a conversation. Now, Bruce has taken it a little bit further. And now Bruce is more of, like I say, the face of the transgender community right now in today's world.
What I like about Bruce Jenner is you actually see the transition in the public because Bruce Jenner started out as an athlete.
Right.
And so you see Bruce as the athlete, and then you see Bruce as the father on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and then you see Bruce Jenner as Caitlyn.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a huge education. I think that is, it's showing the before and after and the gradual change.
Well, to me, it wasn't a gradual change for Caitlyn. I think it was a very abrupt change to me because you saw Bruce as Bruce, and then suddenly you saw Caitlyn. There was no.
Well, there
trend.
It was leaking in the press, and they were like getting
Well,
hits.
we saw the lips and the nose and the little surgeries and those little things. But men do that nowadays.
So, do you think that Caitlyn is a positive influence or a negative? Because I was looking online, and there was a lot of negative backlash toward Caitlyn and positive, but I was surprised to see the negative. And it was a lot of basically religious people and people saying you're still a man and
right, because you see there was not that trend that smooth transition from Bruce to Caitlyn. I thought it was very abrupt that she just went simply from Bruce to Caitlyn. It was abrupt. In my own transition, it took me years. And in the real world of transitioning from one gender to the next. Can we talk about
that a little bit? Because me and you've been friends for a very long time, and I actually remember years ago that initially when I met you, you were very androgynous, and then I remember as time went on. This is my memory. I remember when, as time went on, I would see you would have on like lip gloss, and you would have on like eyeliner, and then you had on blush, and your blouses maybe got softer, and you never said anything to me, and I remember one day we were out, and I said, "Are those tits?" Do you remember that?
I remember that. And this is what I'm trying to explain to you, is that there's this gradual transition, little tiny details that not everyone, only your closest and dearest people close to you would notice these things. And we didn't see that with Caitlyn. We saw a very abrupt change. And to me, that was shocking for the public, I felt. It
So
was
you think that is where the backlash is coming from the public?
exactly.
Because it wasn't that slow
It wasn't that
graduation.
slow graduation. You know, she didn't slowly,
I hadn't thought of it in
evolve
those terms.
into.
I hadn't thought of it in those terms until you said that to me. But I remember back when you were transitioning, I didn't actually know that you were transitioning. I just saw little subtle changes. It was, coming over a period of time. It's so interesting that you say that that's why the backlash is there, because the people haven't seen that
Right.
gradual change.
No.
So how was it for you? I remember saying to you, "What do you want me to call you?" And you said, "Call me what you see."
Call me what you see.
I never forget that. So explain that.
Call me what you see. Because I don't believe in labels, and I don't believe in even gender is a label to me. You know what I mean?
I do agree.
So
from my own personal
but
experience.
as a child, I remember asking my grandmother, "What are angels? Are they male or female angels?" And she said, "No, they're just angels." And that's how I choose to consider myself. Very non-sexual, non-gender. Let me put it that way. A non-gender person. So I don't want to be considered one or the other, because I will never be completely female and I will never be completely male.
Well, you know what? I have a very similar feeling about myself. I mean, for myself, I am just me.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved when I saw Bruce do the interview with Diane Sawyer and say that, because that's what I have always felt. I'm just me. I haven't felt the need to come out anywhere I've never been in.
Right.
So I've just been me.
And as long as we've been friends, we've had this conversation about the whole coming out situation.
Yeah.
And not to detour from the whole Caitlyn thing, but I've never had this coming out conversation that everybody choose to have with their parents and their friends and their co-workers and their employers and blah 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 blah. I've never had that conversation. I've always believed that straight people don't say, "Hey, mom, dad, my employer, Pepsi Cola, whoever it is,
I'm straight.
I'm straight." I have something to tell you. I'm straight. I don't know how to explain this to you, but it's just a feeling that I have inside. No. Why do I have to go through that?
You know what? I totally agree. I've never had any kind of conversation.
I've never had that conversation. So, and in so saying, that's how I transitioned. I, didn't need anybody's approval or looking for any acceptance from whatever. And I actually kind of detached myself a little bit from my family and a little bit from society, a little bit. Only so the whatever backlash that should ever occur, I would not feel it as much as a person.
So you detached yourself from your parents and your siblings?
Mm-hmm.
Explain that. I've known you for a very long time and I did not know that.
You did not know?
No.
Yes, I did that on purpose.
I've met your mother.
I did that
I've met
purpose.
your sisters.
I did that on purpose. And I'll tell you how that came about. Many, many moons ago when I was a young teeny little somebody, I met this older, wise queen. And I would say queen because...
That's a label.
It is a label. But he was a fabulous person. And he said, and I remember saying to him, "Oh my God, I think I'm so different. I think I'm. And he said to me, "I don't know." And I said to him, "I don't know what my family's going to say to me." And this is a coworker I was working with at some point early in my life. And he said to me, "When you're in this life, you shouldn't have family." And it was very hard for me to accept because I was very close to my siblings, my brothers and sisters, and I was, I had a pretty good rapport with my father, and we still kind of do. And I'm very close to my mother and my stepmother. And so it was really, really hard for me to think like that at that point in my life. And as I got older, I realized that you really have to detach a little bit. But in detaching from my family, it brought them closer to me.
Wow. So that you pull back, they pull towards you. That same works
Right.
that way
Follow,
too.
they flee, flee, they follow.
Yes.
So when I moved away, they were like, "Why are you moving away? I want to understand what's going on with you." Situation, and that is to me. That's how I. But when I did that, I realized, okay, you know what? Maybe I can have it both ways. I can have a family and transition.
So do you have that now?
Mm-hmm. I do.
So how does that work?
Oh.
Now, I just went with you to a graduation, and your sister was there, and we went out to dinner. So I saw that you interact with your family, and it seemed normal to me.
Mm-hmm.
But when we went, okay, how did that sister? She seemed to be normal with you to me.
Right.
Do you have different relationship with different family members?
Yes, I
How does
do.
that work?
I do. My sisters took to me very easily.
Have you had that conversation with them?
I've never had the coming
just-
out conversation
Really?
with nobody. I've never had the coming out conversation. Oh, I have something to tell you. Blah blah blah. No, I've never had.
Have they asked you about your tits?
No. But
I'm just curious.
But I did go to a barbecue once in my early days. I did go to a barbecue once and turned up I went with a tank top. I was wearing a tank top. And my sister, a couple days later, called me on the phone and said, you need to start wearing a bra. Because your nipples were showering.
So wait a minute. So your sister, you grew up identifying or being, I guess, labeled male, all the attributes, and now you go to a barbecue with nipples and your sister's calling you and you never had a conversation. So she still doesn't address anything else but you got nipples and you need a bra.
Mm-hmm.
She just totally don't have any more of the conversation.
Right.
So what do you think that is
And I said to her,
avoidance or acceptance?
Acceptance.
Okay.
Because it would have been easier for her to say, what is going on with you? You know what I mean? I think the average or the normal reaction from some other sibling would be, from the average sibling to another sibling who's going through transition, be, what's going on? Why do I see, if it's a female transition to a male, why do we have beard? Why do we have hair on your face? What's going on with that? You know?
So do you think that with Caitlyn Jenner, Laverne Cox, and Janet Moss, do you think that there is a change in the landscape of transitioning and transgender?
Yeah, I think they have put a different light on being transgender. In the general populace, transgenders are seen, or female transgenders, not more so male transgenders. Female transgenders are seen as are labeled under the bracket of prostitutes, porn stars, anything of that sexual nature. They're very objectified.
So, have you ever had to be prostitute?
Never. Thank the Lord.
Well, I think that you are a very lucky person.
Right.
Can we talk about that? Can we talk about how you
I
make
have,
a living?
I have been very, very blessed. I grew up in a family where education was very, very important, and all my brothers and sisters, including myself, are considerably smart and intelligent. And I went to school, went to high school, went to college, went to Medgar College. I also just graduated from SUNY in medical administration, e-records. So I've never had that. That has never been an option for me to go into any sort of deviant way of making a living. I've had many jobs. I've been an accounts clerk, special events manager, doing parties at Lola. Um, and of course, I've worked here at Ashford Simpson Sugar Bar for like almost 18 years.
I think that is very consistent.
And I've had the same apartment for the last 20 years.
But there are a lot of transgenders that don't have that luxury.
Well, I don't really consider it shouldn't even be considered a luxury. It's just a way of life. It's just what
There's a lot of homelessness.
There
in the
is,
transgender world.
there is, and I have to say I've been one of the very, very few and lucky ones that I've never had those experiences. In the general public, people assume, by looking at me, I may have done something or do.
What do you mean by that? Have you had any experience that?
Yeah, I've actually went to a bar that we frequent. We'll call it our Cheers bar. And someone who's known me for a number of years, a mutual friend, he said to me, when I said, so someone came up and said, "Oh, you work at X, Y, and Z," and I said, "Yes, I do." And the mutual friend sitting next to us said, "You work where?" And I said, "Oh, I work there." And he was like, "All this time I thought you were a prostitute." And I said,
"What was your reaction?"
I was like stunned because I thought you knew me. I thought as a person.
I didn't say it.
No, not you. But the person who was sitting with me having a cocktail, drinking and talking for all these years, I felt should have known me better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All this time we've been sitting and having drinks and having cocktails and having all these conversations about life and whatnot. And this is what you thought of me all this time until now. It was kind of shocking. It was very shocking. Very disappointing and a little shocking. But I have to bear in mind that this is what the general public thinks of female transgenders. I have to realize this is the reality of the situation.
And it may be the reality that is actually occurring as well.
Mm-hmm.
You are, I think, a new breed, and things change, and because things are changing, but I think you changed way before then. You were accepted into your life and into who you were.
Yeah, right, and that's what I was saying about Caitlyn. Caitlyn, when she just did an abrupt change, and it took me years to gradually move from one state of being very andro to being very femme. And it took a long time. It took almost, I would say about 10 years to kind of complete that process. To almost where I don't want to steal something that Janet Mock said, but I don't want to say I'm passing. I'm just being who I am.
Yes, I like that. I like that Janet Mock said she's just being and not passing. Because I feel like I'm just being too.
Because I hate when I meet somebody in the dating world and they say, "So are you passable?" I'm like, "What is that?" And I say to them, frankly, I would never be passable. So if that's what you're looking for, you will never find it here. Because I will always just be me as a person.
I love that. So we're going to end right here at We Are Just Us.
Us. I love being us.
Until next time, yes, I said it.